Good evening, my friends. My name is Melissa from Melissa's Struggling Walk with Jesus, and I am here using the Amplified Holy Bible and the Navigator's Bible reading plan to share the Word of God with you. And I am on month 5. Today I will be reading 2 Samuel chapter 13. The title starts in with Amnon and Tamar, and it says, "It happened afterwards that Absalom, the son of David, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, her half-brother, the son of David, was in love with her." Amnon was so frustrated because of his half-sister Tamar that he made himself sick, for she was a virgin, and Amnon thought it impossible for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemiah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very shrewd and cunning man. And he said to Amnon, "Why are you, the king's son, so depressed morning after morning? Will you not tell me?" And Amnon said to him, "I am in love with Tamar, my half-brother Absalom's sister." Jonadab said to him, "Go to bed and pretend you are sick. And when your father David comes to see you, say to him, 'Just let my sister Tamar come and serve me food. And let her prepare it in my sight, so that I may see it and eat it from her hand.'" So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. And when the king came to see him, Amnon said to the king, "Please let my sister Tamar come and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, so that I may eat from her hand." Then David sent word to the house for Tamar, saying, "Go now to your brother Amnon's house and prepare some food for him." So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was in bed. And she took dough and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and baked them. She took the pan and dished them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, "Have everyone leave me." So everyone left him except Tamar. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food into the bedroom, so that I may eat from your hand." So Tamar took the cakes she had made and brought them into the bedroom to her half-brother Amnon. And when she brought them to him to eat, he took hold of her and said, "Come, lie with me, my sister." She replied, "No, my brother. Do not violate me, for such a thing is not to be done in Israel. Do not do this disgraceful thing." Check out Genesis chapter 34, verse 7. "As for me, how could I get rid of my shame and disgrace? And you will be considered one of the fools in Israel. So now, just speak to the king about taking me as your wife, for he will not withhold me from you." But he would not listen to her, and since he was stronger than she, he violated her and lay with her. Then Amnon became extremely hateful toward her, for his hatred toward her was greater than the love which he had for her. And Amnon said to her, "Get up and get out." But she said, "No, because this wrong of sending me away is worse than the other that you have done to me." But he would not listen to her. Instead, he called his young man, who was his personal servant, and said, "Now throw this woman out of my presence and bolt the door behind her." Now Tamar was wearing a long-sleeved robe of various colors, for that is how the virgin daughters of the king dressed themselves in robes. Then Amnon's personal servant took her out and bolted the door behind her. So Tamar put dust on her head in grief, and tore the long-sleeved robe which she had on. And she put her hand on her head and went away, crying out for help. So her brother Absalom said to her, "Has your brother Amnon been with you? But now keep silent, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this matter to heart." So Tamar remained secluded in her brother Absalom's house. Now when King David heard about all these things, he was very angry, but failed to take any action. But Absalom did not speak to Amnon either good or bad, for Absalom hated Amnon because he had violated his sister Tamar. Now it came about after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers at Baal-hazar near Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons to a party. All right. So 2 Samuel chapter 13, starting with verse 24. The title is Absalom Avenges Tamar. And it says, Absalom came to his father, the king, and said, "Behold, your servant has sheep shearers. Please let the king and his servant go with your servant." But the king said to Absalom, "No, my son, we should not all go, for we will be a burden to you." Although Absalom strongly urged David, still he would not go, but he gave him his blessing. Then Absalom said, "If not, then at least let my brother Amnon go with us." And the king said to him, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom urged him again, and he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom commanded his servants, notice carefully, when Amnon's heart is joyous with wine, and when I say to you, strike Amnon, then kill him. Do not be afraid. Have I not commanded you myself? And in doing so, have I not taken full responsibility for his death? Be courageous and brave. So the servants of Absalom did to Amnon just as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons got up, and every man mounted his mule and fled. Now it happened while they were on the way back home that the exaggerated report came to David, "Absalom has killed all the king's sons, and not one of them is left." Then the king stood and tore his clothes and lay on the ground in mourning, and all his servants were standing by with their clothes torn. But Jonadab, the son of Shimea, David's brother, responded, "Do not let my lord assume that all the king's sons have been put to death, for only Amnon is dead. This act of revenge has been on Absalom's mind since the day Amnon violated his sister Tamar. So now, do not let my lord the king take the report to heart that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon alone is dead." Now Absalom fled, and the young man who kept watch looked up, and behold, many people were coming from the road behind him by the side of the mountain. And Jonadab said to the king, "Look, the king's sons are coming. It has turned out just as your servant said." And when he finished speaking, the king's sons came, and they raised their voices and wept, and the king and all his servants also wept very bitterly. But Absalom fled and went to his mother's father, Talmai, the son of Ammihud, the king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there for 3 years. And the heart of King David longed to go to Absalom, for he was comforted regarding Amnon, since he was dead. All right, That is all of chapter 13, my friends. All right. In chapter 13, verse 16, where it said, sending me away is worse than the other that you have done to me. Sending her out like this would cast suspicion on Tamara's behavior. All right, verse 18, where it says a long-sleeved robe of various colors. Other Bible literature says a garment of extremities. So this robe must have been similar to the one Jacob, Israel, made for Joseph in Genesis chapter 37, verse 3. All right, verse 19, where it says Tamar, because she had been forced and violated in this way, she would no longer be acceptable to another man as a wife. Verse 20 says, do not take this matter to heart. Absalom consoled and quieted Tamar so that he could plan his revenge on his half-brother. All right, verse 21, where it says action, but failed to take any action. So according to Jewish law, Amnon should have been executed for the rape of his half-sister. All right, verse 26, where it says, Amnon, go with us. Amnon was David's eldest son and was first in line of succession. And in verse 37, where it says, mourn for his son every day. So David's failure to act when Amnon raped his half-sister Tamar ultimately cost him 2 of his sons and not just 1. All right, my friends, that is all of chapter 13 in the book of 2 Samuel.